debate tonight.
The topic of this debate, the resolve shall be, oysters are worse than clams. Just in general. All right.
So, in this version of debate, traditionally we would be doing public forum, but this is mock debate. So you will see a representative from each team come up and present their arguments. They will then have what is a grand crossfire, where they'll be asking questions back and forth, and the other member of the team will present a closing argument. Have you determined who is speaking first?
Shall we rock, paper, scissors? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I'd best have sleep. Okay, I'll take it.
And please announce which side you are arguing for.
I am standing in firm negation of the resolved.
I saw 2 fingers raised. Yes, sir.
Can we get downtown?
No, you may not be downtown.
All right. May I have the clear wording of the resolve one more time, please?
Give me a second, it's in my pocket. The resolve is, oysters are worse than clams.
All right. Everyone ready? Hello, and for the first time in this debate, my name is Selby Long, and today I will be firmly stating my point that oysters are not worse than clams. So, my first point, I'd like to touch on something a little more personal. My own childhood trauma involving clams. So, as a child, I'd love to travel and see my grandparents, and, I'd make my way down to San Francisco, and of course, as a minor, I wasn't always wanting to travel alone, so my grandfather would travel back up with me. And of course, as everyone here knows, you cannot directly fly from anywhere else but Seattle in the United States to Juneau, Alaska, so we stopped in Seattle. Now, this is all fine and dandy. Seattle's a great airport, lots to do. But there's one catch. Anthony's Seafood Shack. When we get to Anthony's, someone might think, 3 o'clock, perfect time for lunch. Not my grandfather. He thinks that 8 a.m. is the perfect time for a nice warm bowl of clam chowder. Well, I disagree. And that is my first point as to why clams are so much worse. They have inflicted an imprint on me that just makes it a way where I cannot think about them positively. Secondly, I'd like to bring up the fact that clams are uglier than oysters. If you think of an oyster and a clam, oysters have beautiful ridges, varying colors. Clams are boring. They are flat. They look like clams. That's basically all I can say here, but it's true. When I think of the appearance of a clam, the seawater that they live in fills my mind and mouth and makes me want to utter every foul word I know about clams. My last point that I'd like to bring up here that may be personal to some of you is that oysters produce pearls while clams do not. I see many people who have decided to go a little fancy today and wear their best pearls, including my competitor here over to the left. If you look at Sal's neck, they have a beautiful pearl necklace that they've been wearing all season. Beautiful look. Now, where do those pearls come from? Oysters, not clams. These oysters produce, like you to take another look, these beautiful pearls. I believe there may be a few of you back here wearing pearls. Nod your head if yes. But yeah, I saw a few nods. Great. You understand how important pearls are to this world. They are the perfect accent to a necklace, earring, brooch, ring, you name it, it looks good. So, now, wrapping up my points again, today I have brought to you the fact that clams have inflicted me, and I'm sure many others, with childhood trauma. Secondly, clams are just downright ugly. And lastly, the beautiful, beautiful pearls that we all know and love. And with that, I stand down in firm negation of the resolution. Thank you.
Oysters are worse than clams.
Hello, I am Willa Stewart. This is my partner Sal Chapel, and we stand in firm affirmation of the resolution that oysters are worse than clams. We have 3 contentions. First is that many dishes use clams. Like our opponents have brought clam chowder. This is a delicious dish that many people appreciate, except for this one person. And there are many pasta dishes used clams. They're used all over the world, and they are used so much more than oysters, which are used in only certain situations. What would we do without these clams that are used and so much across, and they're so important to the economy of New England clam chowder. What would we do without these clams? Oysters, you hardly ever see them. Have you even heard of oysters? And this brings me to our second contention. Oysters are so expensive. And with the historic rise in inflation, we need to support the everyday American and support these clams as opposed to these expensive products that are the oysters. We want to support the economy in these times of great need, and with that we would support the oysters as opposed to these clams. I mean, clams instead of the oysters. Whoops. And moving on to our third contention, oysters are so hard to open, they're all ragged. They don't even look that attractive, but clams are smooth and they are easy to open. They want to be open. Just tell you, I don't want to be open, I suck. We don't want to eat these stupid oysters that can make life difficult for us. We want these clams that are important to the economy of New England. Clam chowder. We love clam chowder. I'm like this weird person here. We want these clams that are helping us. They want to help us out. They want to be eaten, unlike these lame oysters here. And with this, I stand down.
First question, and my question for you is, you have stated numerous times that these clams are great for the economy of New England, was it? And the fact that, and then your main point is that these are so good for the economy, but I would like to bring up the point that oysters filter far more seawater than clams, and money comes and goes, but seawater is not something that we can readily have available and replace if these oysters were gone.
I would like to bring up the framework that we're working within in this. We're working within the framework of the economy. We all live within this economy. I don't see you living in the ocean. Haines is built because it functions because we have an economy. Let me finish, please. So I do not think it is wrong of us to think of the economy, because is it not true that when we have a better economy, Haines will have more money? And this money could go to benefit the ocean.
But our economy is provided by what? The ocean! You see what's in the ocean? Frickin' oysters! Well, guess what? You want to talk about the economy? I'd be happy to go on the economy. Because guess what it brings to the table when it comes to oysters? Pearls. And what benefits the economy? Nothing more than pearls.
Can I respond to your question, please? I would like to respond to your question by restating our second contention. You basically affirmed our statement in saying the fact that oysters are expensive. They're not accessible. And as I said earlier in my speech, and my partner has said, we're seeing a rise in inflation. So should we really be focusing on luxury items? Should we be focusing on things that are expensive we won't be able to get as much? Should we not be focusing on everyday essentials that people need to live?
I would like to focus on the everyday essential of this nice clean seawater we have. What is more essential than this water, especially for all of you who, I presume, since you are here, living in Haines, Alaska, where the majority of our economy is based on cruise ships, in the water, docks right there. Fishing, in the water, right over there. Almost everything we do is influenced by this seawater, and the more oysters we have and the more efficient these oysters are, the more seawater that they can filter and have that benefits our economy.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Well, I would like to respond to that. There are not that many oysters out there. I'd like to ask you.
Excuse me. There are oysters abundant.
Let me pose a question. When was the last time you ate an oyster. Maybe you have never eaten an oyster. It has been so long. But clams, you have eaten lots of clams. And there are so many clams, and they are so important to the economy, as we've shown.
This
and there
clam
are so
chowder
little
exactly
oysters.
that you say traumatized a certain
This is
individual.
one person.
This one
There are more
person
than one
among a
people.
collective
But
of
there are
many
more
people
that enjoy
traumatized.
clam chowder.
You chose the clam chowder at an airport. That was your choice, and you're wrong to
Biased.
Yeah. Can I please hear the result?
Oysters are worse than clams.
Okay, I might be able to work that. All right. Everyone ready? Everyone ready?
Oh yeah.
Right, then I'll begin. You have all heard of clams, but have you ever heard of the oyster, the underdog of the American economy? Not only does it filter the seawater, it creates an abundant environment for which all marine life can exist. And when this marine life exists, it creates economic benefits. What do clams do? They sit around. They do nothing. They're freeloaders of the economy. But oysters are your working class. They're there to provide you with the vitamins, with the minerals, with the pearls, with the ridges that they have. They're beautiful, they're bountiful, they're creative, they're simply amazing. They provide fresh seawater so that you can fish, so that cruise ships can come in. And when these cruise ships come in, what do they want? Nothing more than pearl necklaces. Where might you find these pearls? Not in clams, that's where you're not gonna find them, but only in the oysters. Now, you might have heard of clam chowder, and you might have heard of the economies of New England, but have you ever considered that you can use oysters in cooking recipes? Can they not be substituted for these subpar clams? And you see, oysters are simply not only tasty, but they provide benefits that clams simply can't get up to. I think I'd just like to go back to the point on how pretty oysters are. I don't think I've touched on this enough, and I'd like to bring it back. You see, when you look at a clam, what do you find? A rather shoe-looking like disc. It's oval-shaped. It looks like something that would either poison you or be incredibly smelly. Now, think of an oyster. Think of its ridges that move across its surface. Think of the valleys. Think of what lies inside. Now, our opponents have stated that oysters are difficult to open. This adds to the mystery of the oyster. You see, clams are easy to open. You know what's on the inside, silly you. But imagine an oyster. You don't know how big and beautiful that pearl might be on the inside. You don't know how tender the meat or how nice the inside of its shell looks. You can't judge an oyster, or you can't judge an oyster by its surface. You have to judge it from the inside. But clams, you can judge them by the outside all you want. Just keep judging. Throw on the hate. That's what they need. So I hope you stand today, not just in firm negation, but I hope you stand, get your boots on, and start hunting for those oysters. Thank you.
Hello for the last time in debate. My name is Sal Chapel. I'm going to be delivering the final focus. So I would just like to restate the resolution, and like my opponents, I don't need to have it read to me. Resolve! Oysters are worse than clams. We came prepared and wrote that down. Thank you. So the first point our opponents are making is that oysters are helping. They're making the ocean cleaner. But as we've said, there are more clams in the ocean, and clams also provide these benefits. And if we can use our logic, which I don't know if our opponents have, and reason for the fact that more clams with even slightly less benefit in the ocean, there's going to be more benefit because there's a higher number of clams than there is of oysters. This brings to our first and second contentions that clams are used all over the world. We've talked about the lovely economy of New England. This is an economy we value. And as we've also said that oysters are expensive. These clams are not expensive because we have an abundance of them. Therefore, they're going to be more accessible. I'd like to touch on an idea we've heard a lot. We've talked about hard-working individuals. But here's a point our opponents haven't brought up. They have said themselves that oysters are rigid. They can be more challenging to open. They say it adds to the mystery, but I would like to say it is a tax on the hard-working individual. They are taking their time they could have used to quickly open a clam to prying open an oyster with so much work, when in reality, they aren't going to receive more benefit, they aren't going to receive more food. And I can hear opponents in their head, but what about the pearls? In the short term, you are not going to eat the pearl. In order to use the pearl, you have to send it away and get it turned into this beautiful necklace. But this necklace is not the point. Which brings me to a thing about our opponents. They're using very specific examples. As I was saying earlier, Selby had bad clam chowder. But that clam chowder was Anthony's Seafood in the Seattle airport. That point does not stand. The professional word for this is anecdotal evidence. And using my necklace is also anecdotal evidence. Our opponents are full of anecdotal evidence. And while they're saying this anecdotal evidence, they're actually leaving our second contention about how the oysters are hard to open and clams are easy to open completely untouched. To further that, they're agreeing with us. They are stating they agree with our contentions. The core of this debate surrounds around the everyday person. It surrounds around you. Because you want something that is accessible, affordable, and easy for you. And with that, we stand in firm affirmation of the result.
Yes, so traditionally now there would be a single judge who would have a ballot that they would write and then deliver. And they would not find out until days later who won or lost that debate. But that is not how we do it tonight. Tonight, you get to decide who has won and lost the debate by rounds of applause. So I will say, oysters or clams, only applaud for the side that you believe won their argument, and we will judge based on the loud response we receive. Take a moment to deliberate, think back over the arguments presented by these lovely young individuals. 3, 2, 1. May I hear it for oysters? Okay. May I hear it for clams? I think it was very clear who has won this debate tonight, but we have agreed that all opponents argued very valiantly and respectfully, and to show how respectful they are, they will now shake each other's hands. Striking all of that, I would just like to say that traditionally, they would have a month to prepare their arguments, and they'd be arguing along something more along the lines of, are right-to-work laws beneficial for the American people?
China. We argue a lot about China.
He likes to argue a lot about China. Sometimes they talk about Turkey's relationship to NATO, but tonight we gave them 30 seconds and we gave them oysters versus clams. Very well. We would like to now present the next 3 desserts that are